All right, then we'll continue, of course, to unpack just what happened at the Madlanga Commission today. It continues tomorrow at 9:30. Let's now bring in SABC senior news reporter Canny Maphanga, who is following that commission for us. Canny, a very good afternoon to you. So a number of things to unpack, of course. Three new witnesses today. We've heard extraordinary testimony from the Hawks' alleged interference in a police takedown operation. That's in December, to testimony that Molefe was allegedly friends with Police Minister Sandhurst. Just walk us through then just some of the revelations today made by the three new witnesses on the stand.
Indeed, good afternoon to you, Onati, and to the viewers at home. Well, certainly we've been hearing evidence that focuses on this Operation Takedown that took place on the 6th of December 2024 at the Sandhurst home of alleged cartel member, that is Katiso Molefe. It's already understood and known before the Commission that this was an operation of counterintelligence with the support of the PKTT, and it had nothing to do with any other unit within the South African Police Services. And we know why the PKTT was brought in to assist with these particular probes, because it now became apparent that these individuals were now investigating alleged cartel members that enjoyed beneficial relationships with high-ranking SABC officials in the Gauteng SABC. Now, essentially what the Madlanga Commission is trying to get to the bottom of is why the Hawks descended on this particular property during the operation of counterintelligence, because the evidence, at least from the officers on the ground, that is the Hawks officers, isn't quite adding up before the Commission. So we already heard from Captain Wonder, who is the former PKTT member, about when he had to be called to the gate and he was told that the Hawks were now outside their operation and were asking questions, imposing demands, wanting to know what were they doing at the residence of Molefe. That is when he also revealed that when he was speaking to the bodyguard driver of Katiso Molefe, that he was alerted allegedly by that bodyguard that they were actually at the home of the friend of the minister. So he assumed that it was the Minister of Police. I think that's when he clarified, and he got that answer about that allegedly being Sandhurst. But back to the focus of what the crux of today is. When they got to the gate, we understand there was an exchange, and we're told from Captain Wonder's point of view that this was an aggressive exchange on the part of the Hawks, and they really were inserting themselves in this investigation, allegedly at the request of the National Hawks head. Now, at the time, that could have only been General Godfrey Lebia. Now, for the first time before the Madlanga Commission, we're actually hearing from the Hawks officers on the ground as to what happened and what brought them to this Sandhurst home, where there was an operation regarding Katiso Molefe, which would later lead to his arrest on that day of the 6th of December 2024. First up was Brigadier Mokoena, who is essentially in charge of that particular unit or tactical operations team there at the Hawks. He testifies that he received a call alleging that there were persons at the home of Katiso Molefe who were impersonating the Hawks and claiming that they were sent there by the National Hawks head. Now, he says that he then sent an instruction to Captain Kruger as well as another constable to go and verify who these people were, so if this was indeed the Hawks or not. Now, what we're understanding is that because Captain Kruger was already an hour out of the vicinity of Johannesburg, he was in Pretoria North, somewhere around that area, it took them a while to get to that particular location. But what we're understanding from the particular evidence is that there was a message that came through in their WhatsApp group that they all had, Brigadier Mokoena, Captain Kruger, and other members as well that were roped in to assist with this particular verification request, that a message came in way before Captain Kruger had descended on the home and told these officers, and they came from an officer as well, that this was a legitimate counter-intelligence operation, also named the commander and named who was on the ground that they could deal with in terms of what the operation was about. Despite this confirmation about it being a legitimate, lawful operation, the Hawks still made their way over to that property and stayed there for about an hour. And we're now hearing that there are additional members that were there from the Hawks beyond the 2 members that had been dispatched by Brigadier Mokoena, and then of course by them being there and asking allegedly for the J50s or whatever the case may have been, or seeking more details about the operation. It means that they went beyond their scope of the verification request. So I'm not sure that the Commission has been able to get to the bottom as to why the Hawks stayed longer after the information had confirmed that this was a lawful operation that was taking place at Katiso Molefe's operation, and we still don't have any answers as to who deployed those additional members to that Sandhurst residence, because we're told from Brigadier Mokoena that he only knows of 2 individuals that he dispatched there, and they informed him that this was a legitimate operation and he left it at that. But now we're hearing that additional members were there in their numbers, and they were around that house for at least an hour before they withdrew. So certainly more questions about the Hawks' role in the alleged Operation Takedown of Katiso Molefe, and whether this was a form of interference or if it was a genuine verification request upon hearing that there was allegedly police officers impersonating Hawks officials at the residence. Now, these police officers that have provided further details, although there's still some questions and gaps remaining, have completed their evidence from their vantage point as to what happened on that day. Tomorrow you can expect Witness C, who was writing exams during this week, to continue their evidence, which still sticks to the theme of the alleged interference and in their criminal investigations, rather, when they were going into these alleged criminal cartels under the intelligence ring and what followed from that. So we'll hear from Witness C at least tomorrow and until Friday as the Commission wraps up this week of its hearings.